This video explores the basics of using the Bento Faces system in its version 2.0. So we have this apple here, which is a test object, and it already contains a prepared babysitter system. So this is the AB post notecard. It just has the information for the sitter number 0. It has 3 poses and the positions and rotations of set poses. We have to make sure always that the permissions of the animations are at least no transfer, not transfer, not transfer, not transfer. They are okay. And now what we want to do is to add facial animations to this. Facial animations that will work only in Bento mesh heads. So how do we do that? We do that with this, and maybe more animations, but for the sake of this example, we are going to use only a couple of animations. So the first we have to drop in is this animation, the rest head 2.0. The purpose of this animation is so it minimizes the effect of some animations that may have the tongue out and it gets stuck, or the face itself gets stuck. This animation minimizes those issues. So we click and drag it here. This one needs no specific permissions, so if we leave it as full perms, that's okay. The next thing we have to drop is the configuration notecard, and after the configuration notecard is dropped, then we will drop the animations that we use and the script. So let's have a look at this configuration notecard. It comes with some default values. The max sitters parameter, it's used to reserve some memory for the sitters. So if we know that we're going to use only one sitter, we write here a number 1. And the skip UV pause notecard, we will set it to 1 if we want to skip reading the AV pause notecard. Otherwise, if this is set to 0, the script will also read the AV pause notecard. And why does it read it? It reads it because the AV pause notecard may contain lines with this format. So if we want that the script reads them, we set here a 0. But normally we want to skip this and set this to 1. So this will not read the whole AV pause notecard, and it will save time significantly. Now, the first thing to note is max sitters set to 1. So we remove this of the example notecard. We remove this. We start by removing this. We save, and one step at a time. Now we have here that a block begins. Begin head equal to default, and then it ends here with end head. What is this block for? This block is to define animations that are adjusted to specific mesh heads, specific Bento mesh heads. So default is the default setting, and is the animations that will load when we first sit on the furniture or wherever we are installing this system. So our notecard has to have at least a default block, and if we want to have animations that are specially designed for other heads, for example the black heads, we type this block here and start writing face lines. But we are not going to do this, so we remove this and stay with the default begin head. Now you see me adding blank lines for clarity, but when you finish your work you can remove the blank lines and leave things like this. It's less readable, but the notecard will load a bit faster. So for now we have this, and now inside the block of the begin head we write lines that begin by the word face and are followed by an equal sign. Face in lowercase. This is necessary for the script. Now, what do we type after that? After that we type however we want to call this facial expression. I write this using the default name that Second Life has because it's an equivalent expression to that one from Second Life. Then I type this pipe sign, and then what I write is the name of the animation, just like we can read it here. So we could simply hit F2. We may need to hit it several times until we see that this goes into edition mode and everything in the name is selected. Now we click Ctrl C to copy, hit ESC to exit without changing the name, and we go here and Ctrl B to paste the name. So for our example we are going to keep only these two expressions. And can we add more? Of course that we can add more. We can add as many as we need. And even if we have things like a closed eyes animation, we can write it like this. It's your choice how you write it. We write the pipe and then we write the closed eyes animation, however it's called, this asset. We don't have closed eyes, so we remove this line. And now we have defined that the default head that all the notecards need to have expect only two facial expressions, this express bored emote and this express open mouth. If you have more that you are not using, you can delete them. And it's recommended to delete them because that's using less script memory. And it's always important to use as less memory as we can. So we keep only these two lines that we are going to use in the example. And now the only thing that remains is to set the facial expressions themselves for the different sitters. We have here only one sitter. So how do we do this? Well, first we ignore these values that come as an example. And we make sure that we write sitter 0, the first sitter, just like in babysitter. And now we write the word anim, one space, and then we write the post name that shows in the button. So we open the AB Post Notecard, and I want to add a facial expression to this stand 1 animation. We know that stand 1 is what shows on the menu, and that hand warming A is the name of the animation file in the object. So we look for this, for the names that show on the menu. So I write here anim, uppercase, stand 1, I write the pipe to separate, and now I want to show the express open mouth. So we can see right from the start that the animations are working. So express open mouth. Now we have to write another pipe, and we have to write a number. And this number, what does it mean? If we write, for example, a 10, what does that 10 mean? The 10 means that the animation will be playing 10 seconds. And after those 10 seconds, if there's another animation written after that, the second animation is the one played by a number of seconds that it's also specified. But for now, let's write just this. And just this, it doesn't matter if we write 10, if we write 1 or 5, because there's only one expression, and that one expression is going to be played and repeated every 10 seconds. If instead of poses, which are static and so are the same all the time, if instead of using poses, we are using animations that have a start and an end, for example, in the included animations on this set, we can see that the mouth opens for a couple of seconds and then closes. By writing the 10, what we have is that the mouth opens, 2 seconds go, closes, and then 8 more seconds go until completing the 10 seconds, and the animation is played again. So, in the case of static animations or poses, we don't see much of a difference by writing one or another number, but when we use animations that aren't static, then the time is important. Hopefully this has made some sense, and let's go to another line. Now I want to create another facial expression for this stand 2 animation. So again, we write anim stand 2 and the pipe character. So what do we write now? What we write? We are going to write a couple of animations. We are going to write the express board emote that will last 10 seconds, and now we write another pipe sign, and we write the express open mouth. How many seconds? Let's say 5 seconds. So what will this do? when we select on the menu Stand 2, Express Board Emote will launch, which plays this animation, and it will last 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, Express Open Mouth, which is this animation, plays for 5 seconds. And when those 5 seconds are over, then we go back to Express Board Emote for 10 seconds. Express Open Mouth for 5 seconds, and we go back again. And this loop continues until we stand up or select another animation. And now I want to do a mix of the animations in the stand 3. So we start writing anim stand 3, which is the name that shows on the menu. And now we are going to tell the script to play 2 animations at once, so we can overlap animations. And we do this by writing the first animation name that we have defined, and then this character, the add character, and then we write the second animation that we want to overlap. How long? Let's say 10 seconds. And after 10 seconds, we keep only the express board emote for another 10 seconds. Now we remove these lines that came from the example. We save, and now we are ready to include the assets in our object. So let's do a quick recap. Skip UV pause set to 1. This will make that the script does not read the AV pause notecard, makes for faster reading. Being head default. Default is a head that has to be included in all notecards, regardless of including other heads or not. Default has to be always there. Then we define names for the animations with the line face equal and an animation name. We separate them with this pipe menu, and we write the actual name of the animation. We write as many face lines as we are going to use. We end the head, we write as many heads as we need, and then per seater we are writing a line seater and its number, seater 0, seater 1, seater 2, etc. We only have one seater, so we only write seater 0. And then we write the anim lines, which expect first the name that shows on the menu buttons from AV seater, these names, and then we write the facial expressions that we want to use using these names that we have defined, and that can be whatever we want, and write those expressions, type seconds, create sequences of them, play several ones, etc. One thing important here, there is a limitation on the length of the notecard lines that scripts can read. Scripts can read only up to 255 characters. So if our line goes over that, one thing that we can do is reducing this. For example, like this. Instead of the whole express, bold, and mouth, we will write EB. And you can see that by writing EB, the length of the notecard line is reduced. But for now, let's undo and leave it this way. Now we save, we had saved already, and now we can close this notecard and we can close this notecard. So we select the notecard, select the facial expressions that we are going to use. If we are not using other facial expressions, then we don't have to include them. We don't have to drop the whole lot of them. That will help also in loading times with the contents of the object. And I wanted to mention another thing in here. We don't have to include the playing of the rest head animation. We don't have to include it because the script does it automatically each time that animation plays. So the script tries to unstack any possible stack expressions, and then it plays the sequence that we define here. So we do not need to write this animation. We do not. I have seen this in some notecards, and that is not necessary, and it's taken from notecard line length and it's taken from notecard reading time. We just don't do that. And what's left? The script. The script is here, so we right click, go to properties, and set it to no transfer. Now we close, we drop this here. Now it's loading. Okay, the script is ready. And now we jump, and we should see an open mouth because that's the first expression that we have defined. And there we have it. We have an open mouth. Now we continue trying our sequences. Stand 2. If we don't remember what the sequences are, we open this so we can check that everything is working as expected. Now, stand 2 begins with the express, bold, and mode. So, we change it. We see that the face is showing that kind of bold expression, and after 10 seconds, it opens the mouth. And after 5 seconds, goes back to the bold expression. And now we want to test the last sequence. The first animation to play is a combination of the two. So what we have to expect is an open mouth and the eyelids and the eyes a bit turned. So we select stand 3 and we see the faces combined and the open mouth takes some preference over the eyes because it also changes the eyes. That's something that we have to practice, but it does not change the eyebrows. So when we use combinations of animations, we have to see if there are parts of the body that they try to move at once, parts of the face that they try to move at once, so we may not see completely what we expect. We can make special animations for that. And we are observing that the sequence is happening. The combination of the open mouth and the bored mouth, which we can see in the eyebrows, and after 10 seconds it only goes to bored mouth. And now we can close this, and when we can close this menu or not, and we stand up. After a moment, our avatar goes back to its expression, to its default expression, whatever it is. So this covers the basic setup of the script. For more details, more advanced options, then do check all the written information on the website. And if you see a message from your browser saying that the place is not safe to navigate, ignore it, go ahead. The website is not using anything to collect data, is not using any scripts that track you. It's completely safe. Well, what am I going to say? Obviously, but there is no important information going there. You just go there to check the documentation. So if you find that, don't worry and just ignore the safety message, because it's our website and you can go there and check the directions. So I hope this helps to set up the basic system, and for any questions, any doubts about the more advanced options, then do ask me. And before I forget, because I was forgetting, there's one thing that we can add in the AB Post Notecard. So under the Adjust menu, we can go to the options of the script. So we go here and write Adjust, for example, Bento Face, the pipe character to separate, and we type this number. This number is on the documentation, on the written documentation, so don't worry, you don't have to memorize it, you just have to copy and paste. We save, ABC is reloading, and now we go back to the Apple. And let's see what has been added. If we go here to the Adjust menu, we see the Bento Face button, and then we get a menu. The menu has first a series of buttons saying which set of animations load. So if we have here, for example, Lelutka, by clicking Lelutka, the animations corresponding to the Lelutka head will load. Those animations are supposed to be prepared for that head. So those are animations that I don't know if they exist, but they have to be prepared especially for that head, because each head has a different rigging, and so the animations may look well in some heads and not so well in other heads. If you have specific animations for other heads, then include them here, and if you don't have them, then just leave default. Now, the interesting thing here is this on and off button. If we click on the facial expressions, stop. If we click it again, the facial expressions go on. But when we stand up and sit back, the facial animations are again on, regardless of if they were on or off. If we want that this setting moves with the standing up and sitting again, if we want to stop them and stand up, and we don't want that they are showing again when we sit, you can see that the animations are now not playing, the facial expressions are not playing. That's because we have set here this global on and off. Now we click it again to turn them on, and now if we stand up and sit again, the animations are again back when we sit. So this is something that you have to make sure that you document for your own customers, so they know that they have these options, because you will have people that say, oh, but I don't want the facial expressions. So they have this option and this option. And we have here, go back to a visitor. We go back to a visitor. And now, yes, this is all for the introduction to how to use the script. The script has more options, so check the documentation for that. I hope this has been useful for you, and have a great day.